Hello everyone, welcome back to part 2 of today's episode of the Freethinker Cast. I'm your host Hannah, and today we're covering the APPG who, alongside Labour MPs, are calling for reparations from King Charles. The all-party parliamentary group, Labour MPs and a few other peers are calling for reparative justice from King Charles because of the ongoing and historical impact of slavery and colonialism. The lobbying event was organised by the Repair campaign, an independent group funded by the Irish telecoms billionaire Dennis O'Brien. He believes both the EU and the British government should each fund 50% of this because they are equally culpable. And my question for you, Dennis O'Brien, is who the hell are you, as an Irishman, not a part of the UK, that's what you wanted. That's what you wanted when you established your independence in the mid-1900s. You wanted out of the UK. Who are you to tell now the British monarchy how they should spend their money? And I'm serious about this. If you want to spend your money, if you want to spend your pot of gold, the end of the rainbow, if you want to spend your pot of gold on giving reparations to black people, you're welcome to do that, Dennis O'Brien. It's your money. You're a billionaire. But who are you to now apply pressure on the British monarchy and tell them how to spend their money? Go and rummage through your own pots of gold and give it as reparations. Leave the UK alone. It's always some billionaire white guy at the top. Billionaire white guy telling us other people how they should spend their money. You spend your own money. Always. There's always it's Bill Gates, Dennis O'Brien, behind the closed doors of these organizations and these campaigns. It's always some rich white guy that has way too much money and way too much time on their hands. They don't know how to spend their money anymore. They're bored. They're guilty for being white, and they want to self-flagellate and tell everyone how they should self-flagellate as well for being white. This is unnecessary. I think Ireland needs another potato famine. Right, so there are many reasons we're going to be exploring in this episode for why we should not be giving reparations to black people. But before we do that, remember to give this video a big thumbs up, comment your ideas down below, and subscribe to the Freethinker Cast. These are very short, very easy steps that you could follow to boost this video in the algorithm, and you can get more representation of your values in the media. Share it with a friend, with a guilty white friend that's got bruises on their backs for freaking beating themselves for being white. Share it with them. Share it with them, because the bruises will heal, but the emotional torment might take a bit longer. Send this video to your friends who hate being white, because this is not good. This is not good for anyone. The United Nations estimates that some 50 million people are victims of modern-day slavery and human trafficking. The victims are disproportionately female and children. And it can come in the form of child labour or forced marriages. Now, the reason this absolutely shatters my heart is because having an access to education as a female in the UK is such an absolute privilege, and you don't even think of it that way. You really don't. Having an amazing English teacher who inspired my love for languages has enabled me to express my thoughts on my podcast and share it with the free thinkers here on the channel. I think having an education in the UK is such a privilege that people do not appreciate. And when I see other girls who have been restricted access to education because they're being forced into marriages with men 3 times their age, it breaks my heart. The reason I'm a free thinker, the reason I can critically think, the reason that I can process my thoughts and share my faith is because I had regular state school education. I have books. Look at them. They're not just books for me. They're a freaking trophy. And you don't even see it that way, but it is. These women are being forced to marry. Girls, literally teenage girls are being forced to marry men 3 times their age. Now, what should make you equally as infuriated as me, as I am, is that these APPG lobbyists and Labour MPs will have you thinking that we need to give reparations of victims of not modern day slavery and human trafficking, forced labour, child marriages, but instead to black people who were never slaves in this country. We were never slaves here. We're all like 2nd, 3rd, 4th gen British citizens or whatever. We were never slaves. You were never slaves, and a lot of black people voluntarily immigrated to the UK. That really is the diaspora that comprises Britain. And so when we're talking about reparations, it's not even historically compatible with Black British history. The only people who can rationally even make an argument would be the Windrush generation, and every other black people should exit from this conversation or exit from this entitlement to reparation. And then even when we do observe the Jamaican diaspora, you still wouldn't be eligible because you were never a slave. Human beings are being exploited in developing nations, in developed nations, sometimes right beneath our noses. And yet the greater injustice for the Labour Party, the greater injustice for the APPG lobbyists and freaking Dennis O'Brien and his freaking pot of gold, is transatlantic slavery. From the 1800s. It was abolished in the 1830s. This is pathetic. There is going to be an opportunity for you to donate to an amazing charity at the end of this called Hope for Justice. My friends are cycling from London to Lisbon in order to raise money for this charity who helps victims of modern day slavery and human trafficking. So stay tuned to the end of this clip so you can learn how to donate, because they're already on day one. They've raised a ton of money already, but we still haven't reached our target, and I'll let you know all of the information closer towards the end. So just stay tuned. So why do people talk about slavery as if it happened yesterday? As in, like, we all woke up and now, you know, the shackles are off our feet and we just, like, now we need reparations, which, by the way, was a necessary economical decision for government when they emancipated initially the slaves. When they were initially emancipated slaves, they were financially and they were dependent on their plantations, on their slave masters for food, water, and basic necessities. So they needed reparations when they were initially emancipated. Because what the heck else were they? What other job were they going to get? What the heck? You in the UK? You with your corporate job? You? Do you know what I mean? Like, you with your bloody, I can't stand these like black hipsters with really cool trendy clothes. Well, I actually love what it looks like, but I'm saying you with your brown, beige and gold hipster black outfits, working at your corporate job, demanding reparations. You were never a slave. It would be an insult to those who were slaves that you feel entitled to the immediate reparative justice that black slaves needed when they were initially emancipated. They would be turning in their graves if they knew how entitled you are. But yes, why do they feel like they are entitled to reparations? And I have 3 reasons to share with you today. Reason number 1, people are desperate to be victims because it justifies their financial struggles and it absolves them of having to take responsibility. It absolves them from their poor life choices. It's easier to point the blame at other people, the system, white people, whatever, as opposed to confront the deeper rooted cultural issues to explain the financial disparities and educational disparities between black, white and Asian groups. Reason number 2, this isn't like a reason why people feel entitled to reparations, but it's a reason that white people will fuel the reparations, like why they will give their money over. And it's because they're spineless. A lot of them are liberals who genuinely feel guilty for something they didn't even do, but they spent too much time on social media. So it became the truth to them that they are somehow responsible for slavery and therefore obliged to recompense black people. Yeah, so that will lead them to spinelessly dump their savings into BLM. And you can help a black queen. You can climb the property ladder, because that's what Patrisse Cullors did when she purchased a mansion in LA. I think it was more than one, actually. I don't know. But definitely at least one. And honestly, it was so funny because it serves you right for being so invertebrates, such invertebrates. Like, it serves you right. Like, what logic is that? You who never did something must pay for something you never did. If you bought into that, Patrisse Cullors should be your reminder of why you should spend more time with the Lord than with people on social media, because these people will lie in your face so much. It will be the only thing that you experience, receive, or know about your whiteness and defines your whiteness, that you will actually buy into the lie. Buy into the lie by some $80-90 million. What the heck is even that? You gave her $80-90 million and she's having a lavish time in LA. Now, number 3, why do black people feel entitled to these reparations? I believe too many Black History Months. Way too many. I'm tired of it personally. I mean, every single year we have to learn about the boring old Rosa Parks, and how she courageously defied the segregation in the American South, and she led the bus boycotts or whatever. I should know it better than that, if I'm being honest, because I used to learn about it every year, and I sit there learning about Black American history, and it's just not my history. It's not my history. Just because we're Black, that doesn't mean we have the same history. It's like telling you as a white person, if you're watching this, if you're English, you have to learn everything about bloody Germany. You have to learn everything about, you need to know everything about bloody Russia. That's what I feel like when people tell me as an Eritrean girl, you need to learn about some African Americans. We haven't got the same history, sweetheart. Leave it out. For 1 month, every single year, they talk about slavery because apparently that's the only history that Black Americans have. And then the entire world has to join in those conversations. And as a consequence of that, victimhood becomes the only historical perception of Blackness that shapes our understanding of Black people today. If you think your history is solely comprised of slavery and colonialism, you kind of emotionally remain trapped there. You think that's the only thing that exists in your history, and it really just shapes how you perceive Blackness. They don't teach you about the Black kings. They don't teach you about the triumphant, victorious Black people. The Black kings, the Black queens, the Black entrepreneurs. The richest Black king in history, Mansa Musa. He had so much gold that he gave so much gold to the Egyptians, it devalued gold in Egypt for a decade. No, 14th century Mali Empire, they don't teach you about that. They don't teach you about the victorious and triumphant Black Eritrean women who fought in the Eritreans People Liberation Front for 30 years and helped Eritrea win the war against Ethiopia. Black people, by the way. White people are uninvolved in that. That was Black versus Black, okay? They don't teach you about amazing, successful Black people, rich Black people, Victoria. All they want you to meditate on for 1 month every year are the Black people who were slaves, who were victimized, or who overcame victimization from white people. So like other historical figures, maybe Abraham Lincoln, or you might study him for 1 month on Black History Month and post him to your Instagram story, woohoo, or something like that. They don't want you to know any other narrative. They want you to meditate on this and this alone. And that will shape your perception of Blackness. Because if you knew about victorious Black people, if you knew that there were a wealth of historical figures and present day human beings who were successful Black entrepreneurs, I follow a few. I mean, what's this one guy, Vuzi something, I don't know his name. There are so many wealthy Black entrepreneurs and they're starting businesses. The Black economy is growing. Like, regardless of what they're saying about the victimhood narrative, Black people are making more money than they used to. They don't tell you about that. But when you do learn about these individuals, when you do become familiar with these stories, the idea of success is not so distant or unattainable for you. Because, oh, this person did it. Oh, this person, everyone's doing it. Oh my goodness, hang on a minute. There are no excuses for me anymore. Subsequently, there become less excuses for underachieving. So, no. You're not a forerunner for Black success. You're not a trailblazer for the Black community. White people need to stop seeing themselves as John the Baptist paving the way for Black people, because if we don't do these DEI initiatives, they will never be able to do it themselves. Excuse me? I mean, I know very intelligent Black people who are able to get into like Oxford and Cambridge without your bloody DEI initiatives, long before they ever came into existence. We don't need your dumb DEI initiatives. We don't need your reparations. We don't need your help. If you want to help us, you will help the victims of modern day slavery and human trafficking. It's happening right now. And the UN estimates that to be some 50 million people across all ethnicities. That should break your heart, because it breaks mine. It does, especially for the girls who do not get access to school. And that brings me to this amazing charity called Hope for Justice. Right now, my friend Lorraine is cycling from London to Lisbon. She's already completed day 1, by the way, in order to raise money for this charity who is fighting and tackling modern day slavery and human trafficking. Hope for Justice runs community initiatives and prevention programs to help young girls and boys identify and resist exploitation. It educates these communities on the telltale signs. They help identify victims through deploying outreach teams and investigations. They support survivors through offering comprehensive aftercare services. And importantly, they also help in preventing exploitation. These are the people who need your help. These are the people who need reparations. They have nowhere else to go. They don't have secure employment opportunities. They're not like you that could just post a CV on Indeed and get a call within a few hours, or maybe not. Everybody's applying for like hundreds of jobs and they're not getting responses, but they do not have the same opportunities as you do here. They don't have the same internet connections. They're lost and they need your help. So stop talking about slavery that happened hundreds of years ago, and let's talk about the slavery that's happening today. The distance from London to Lisbon is over 2,000 kilometers, and they've already completed day one of their journey. I will put the link for the fundraiser down below. We have not yet met the target, which is £60,000. If you're passionate about making a change in the lives of people who need it the most, click the link in the description below. Thank you so much for tuning in today's episode. Let me know if you like my flower. It's called a hibiscus syricus, I found out. If you like this video, give it a big thumbs up, comment your ideas down below, and subscribe to the Free Thinker Cast. Bye.